Vocabulary, Lesson 26, The Mysterious Tadpole. Our first word is ordinary. Let's look at the sentence. An ostrich is not an ordinary bird. It runs quickly but cannot fly. So ordinary means that it's not special or different in any way. We don't see ostriches on the side of the road every day. It is not an ordinary bird. It's not something that we see all of the time. Next word is control. This rider uses reins to stay in control of the camel. So when you control something, such as a machine or an activity, you affect how it works. So we can control our actions. We can control a car by using its steering wheel. Control. Cage. If you own an iguana, you can let it out of its cage. So you can see that the iguana is inside the cage. It's almost like little teeny tiny metal bars. So it's a structure made of wire or heavy metal bars in which birds or animals may be kept. Cage. The next word is upset. This animal is upset because it sees danger. So think of some things that you might get upset over. Maybe you don't want to go to bed when your mom and dad says, but moms and dads always know best. Maybe you get upset if you get left out on the playground. That's always something that's very difficult. So when someone is upset, you may be worried or unhappy about something. Next word. Sensible. These sensible hippos are smart enough to roll in cool mud on a hot day. So what would be another word for sensible? Sensible or smart. So if you are sensible, you would make good decisions based on common sense. So you would make sure that you think before you act when you are sensible. Next word is confused. Jack was confused. He had never seen an animal like this before. Do you know what kind of animal this is? Can you see his flat bill? It's a platypus. So if you're confused, you may not understand what is happening or what to do. So confused. Maybe you might read the directions on some schoolwork and you don't really know what to do. You might be confused, so you might need to ask for help. Next word is training. The training of a ferret takes time and patience. So I talk to you sometimes about training my dog Simon, which is not always an easy thing to do. It takes time and patience to train an animal, and you need to practice a lot when you're learning something new. Training. Next word is suspiciously. The wolf looked at the woman suspiciously. It does not trust her. So if you are suspicious, you don't trust someone or something. So those are our vocabulary words. I'm going to be reading a story called Diego's Double Surprise, and I would like you to be looking for those vocabulary words as I read. Diego's Double Surprise. Diego sat on his bed in his room. He felt surprised and very confused. His parents had just told him they were having a baby and that he would have to share his room. His parents said that was more sensible than moving into a bigger house with more rooms. Diego wasn't upset about having a brother or sister. It could even be fun if he didn't have to share his room. Right now, he had control over everything in his room, like the TV and the closet. Diego thought suspiciously about what it would really mean to have a baby around the house. How can I share a room with someone who hasn't even gone through potty training? He wondered, what if the baby wants to watch nature shows all of the time? Diego liked cartoons and he hated nature shows. What if the baby lets his pet guinea pig out of his cage? He worried. What if when the baby gets older he has more friends than me? Where would I go when they all came over? Diego, we're home, his dad shouted. Come here, we have a surprise. Diego ran in, wondering if this would be a really good surprise or something more ordinary, like pizza. Honey, we're having twins, his mother cried. What? Diego yelled. He immediately thought about living with two babies. They would gang up on him. He just knew it. They'd make fun of his pajamas. They'd eat all the pancakes at breakfast. They'd always get to sit together in the back seat. There were only two beds in his room. He knew he would be the one to have to sleep on the floor. But there are really two surprises. We can't fit all of you in one room, so we are going to build a new bedroom for you. Yes, Diego cried happily and jumped in the air. Now they can watch nature shows in their own room. Diego's parents looked at him curiously. He smiled shyly and said, I'll explain later. So Diego had not just one surprise, but a double surprise. What does that mean, a double surprise? Well, one baby is one baby, but twins would be two babies. So that would be his double surprise. What was the setting of this story? So they were in Diego's house, right? And he was thinking about having to share his bedroom with a baby, which he was starting to get used to the idea, wasn't real happy about it. But then when he heard there were twins, he thought, oh my goodness, they're going to take over my room and take over this whole house. What will I do? So how does Diego respond to the news that his parents are having a baby and he will have to share his room? Was he happy? Which vocabulary word would you use to describe how he was feeling? Yep, I would say he was pretty upset. He was mostly worried about sharing his room and how things would change. So what news do his parents share that changes how Diego feels? He went from being very upset to having to share his room with two babies to very, very excited because that's right, he was going to get his own room. Why does Diego say now they can watch nature shows in their own room? Well, remember, he was thinking of all the things that were going to be difficult, having to share a room with a baby. So at the end, we know that he's starting to feel a little bit better about the situation. Okay, so good luck using your vocabulary words this week as you read.